Welcome to my masterclasses, where I share with you everything you need to know about how to become a high-growth, high-scale entrepreneur. I'm joined by guests. We break down the myths, the ideas, the legends, everything you need to know to become a high-growth entrepreneur. Warning, this is the High Performance Zone. Yes, ma'am.
Hi guys. Is it on? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Vusi, I have a question. So how did you make a spiritual or let's say a mental shift to operate in the realm that you are operating? Like everyone can agree with me that you are not operating as other people, other business people. So how did that mental shift or that spiritual shift come about?
Ask me that question in English.
So, Vusi,
Nice.
Yeah, how did you become the way you are now? Yeah, and the other, like, for recognizing me and with my losing now, my second question is, how do you start small when you have a big business idea?
This is the second one. Was that a good one? Was that? Yeah. So how do I operate at the level? I don't know how else to operate. The reason I said ask me that question in English is because I kind of feel like you're asking a fish, how does it swim? I don't know. Like I am who I am. I used to battle it first because, you know, human beings are social creatures, right? I have this theory about society. I'll tell you about it. Society is a system of normalized averages. Tweet that, yeah. So what society does is it says, as an individual, I can do whatever I want because there are no consequences. When there are two of us, we've got to find a way of living with each other that makes living with each other possible for both of us, given that we're different. So we find the average. And so exponentially then, to every single human being added to the population spectrum on Earth, we average each other out. And then what we do is we say, if you live outside of the rules of this box of average, there are going to be consequences. If you break the law is a way of legislating the averages. Thou shalt not take something that doesn't belong to you, because if you do, we put you in jail. Make sense? So the system of normalized averages is kind of where people are and where people live. What I battled with is I could never fit into that system. It's not my story. It's never been my story. And I suppose as do all young people, I've really battled trying to be understood. I felt for the longest time that I was misunderstood. There's an amazing poet called J. Ivy who says, never worry about being misunderstood because it's not you who lacks the frequency of understanding. So what I realized is my brainwaves were just buzzing at a different frequency. And human beings are interesting. We will judge before we try and understand. And so that's why they will. So for instance, I was a coconut and called a coconut long before the twanging thing was a thing. Here's what people don't know about me. I'm 34. I started public speaking at 15. I won the world championship in 17. For the past 15 years of my life, I've been doing professional elocution lessons twice a week. I will never round my R's like Musi Maimane. I'm a professionally trained public speaker. So I don't give a if you understand me or not. Like the fact that you think I sound a certain way is not my problem. In elocution, for instance, you're taught how to speak, right? So the Australians have a best way of saying oh. So it's not a problem, it's a problem. The intonation is different. Yeah? And we study, because remember, guys, 82% of my revenue last year came from outside of South Africa. My phone, I don't follow trends in Joburg or SA. I can't. Because then I get stuck talking about the stuff you're talking about. Guys, this is important. Because you're following the wrong trend. You're running a business that's about selling makeup, but you're commenting about land. Shut the hell up. That's not your debate. Because now you come and tell me about your business that does makeup. I go and find you on social media and I go, why are you talking about AfriForum? You can have the politics. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying you got to be clear about whether or not you want to be a politician or a businessman. You know, do you know why Patrice Motsepe doesn't tweet politics? Because he got it. He's a businessman. He's focused. Yeah, he's clear. Notice this about extremely successful business people. You'll never find them taking a side. And they do take sides. They just know where to take the side. They don't state it publicly for the audience and the theater of social media.
Yes, yes.
Yeah? So So for instance, people will say stuff to me on my social media like, oh, I'll post something and people go, ooh, English. And I go, I mean, look, again, like, my competitors are professional speakers all over the world. Okay? I charge $80,000 for a keynote in the US. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. $80,000 per hour is what I charge. Okay? The guy I compete with charges $500,000 US. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful. Okay, now there's a nincompoop somewhere at the waterfront who went and watched a video of mine and has something to say about it, and I must respond. No. No, I'm just like, no, I mean really. You understand? So I'm just like, so what God did for me, because for me, that's my source, right? Everybody's different. What God did for me is he put me outside of the system since I was a kid. He did it for me so that when I grew up, I didn't hunger to be in the system. The system never understood me. When I was the kid growing up in Lokshin, I was the guy walking up 100 meters of a road to go climb on a taxi to make his way to the dojo. Because I did martial arts since I was 11. Do you understand? I won the national championship in Kyokushinkai twice. Like, you know, so the point, then I did Wing Chun, and I'd be the guy walking up the street to go see my sifu. So I was reading Chinese philosophy when I was 13, 14. I was never there, guys. I don't want to lie to anybody here. I want to be like, I was never there. When I was just the guy who was with the rest of my friends. Like, during school holidays, I'm just one of the kids, right? But even when I made it into the Model C schools and were great at this, the other black kids made me feel bad for the fact that I was doing drama. Because it wasn't cool to do drama. And for the fact that I did public speaking, because it wasn't cool to do public speaking. Now all of a sudden, on their profiles today, they call themselves speakers, and I'm like, but what's wrong here? Does this make sense? And people would mock until I achieved. They always will. Yeah. Like I was, oh, oopies, when's the cut until I won the world the championship. Then they were like, oh, shit, he's actually pretty good. South Africans are fantastic at this. We will only recognize you when the world does. You know what I mean? And that's. I'm going to say another statement, and I really don't want this to become about politics, but I'm going to say something which I think is true. Apartheid didn't lose; it won. Apartheid didn't lose. Apartheid won. The project about apartheid wasn't convincing white people that they were better or black people that they were worse. The project of apartheid was convincing black people that none amongst them was good enough. So let me tell you something. When you make it as a black person, you don't need white enemies. Black people will show you. We will. Guys, if I'm lying, I'm flying. We'll find you. You know? And today we even have words to legitimize haterade. We call it being woke. So I now have an obligation to speak a certain way, because if I don't speak that way, I'm not legitimately black. Like, I'm sorry, who gave you the SABS unit standard to tell us what blackness was? You got to tell me this. Blackness is I must live like this, talk like this, walk like this. Is that what blackness is? Is blackness a lived experience, or is it a worldview? We became the very thing we fought. We became it. We actually became the very thing we fought. There was that beautiful Metro FM ad, which was taken off air. that went something like, "What makes you black?" You remember it? And there was a lady with a weave and it said, "Is it your hair?" There was another lady with contact lenses that said, "Is it your eyes or is it your soul?" When you succeed as a black person, trust me, you don't need white people. Black people will remind you plenty that you've succeeded. We'll find you, we'll fetch you. They call it fetching. I will fetch you. You will do 99 things right. We will find the 1% of the thing that's there. And we'll be like, yeah. We know that you're an amazing what, but let's not forget there. And I'm just like, there's that beautiful part in the Bible where Jesus says, hold on, let he who is without sin. Heaven. You are telling me my shoes don't match, but your debit order's bounced. Bye, man. We good now? We good now? We good now, right? I'll tell you another thing, right? I'll tell you another thing. So I win the World Championship in public speaking at 17. Then I was in Australia for 6 months on a speaking tour, and then the UK, right? So my lens is clearly global. Like, those of you following me on social media would have seen that I've moved now, so I'm based in New York now, right? Because that's the next stage of my business, right? So I'm looking at this thing, and so my whole life has kind of followed this trajectory. And for me, what's been interesting, the most fascinating thing is to watch people don't understand you, judge you, ridicule, and then all of a sudden become advocates. And in the whole process, all you've done is you stayed true and constant to you. I didn't change the way, I didn't change anything. Go and find videos. There was a lady called Zam and Kensani. They had a show called Mojo. I was on their show in 2002. It's online. Go and watch it. I speak then exactly the way I speak now. Because I don't care about what you have to say about how I speak, but I'm not changing me for you. That's you. How you see me is not my problem. But the question you asked, the thing I was talking about frequency, is there's a system of normalized averages. So we've gotten, I see some of the comments that the social media team gets on this, and people go something like, why is Vusi presenting this masterclass? Why isn't X, Y, and Z? Yeah, you know why they're not doing it? Because they're not doing it. Like, we just came up with a masterclass and did it. They want to do it, let them do it. But they won't do it. What you're trying to do is politicize something that's about market. You guys aren't here because anybody's paid you. You're here because there's something to gain. The market will never lie to you, right? So if you want to be understood, this journey is not for you. Get a very nice job, Department of Labor, Home Affairs. But guys, genuinely, like if you want to leave an impact, if you want to leave a dent to the universe, here's my litmus test. It's not what people are saying about me today that's material. It's what will they say 50 years after I was here. Because like the sun rises on the east and sets at the west, there will be a time when you are no longer here. And a lot of people are too worried about what's being said about them whilst they're here. You ever notice how all geniuses are misunderstood until they're revered? Like Michelangelo was almost burnt at the stake, but today we have buildings named after him. Steve Jobs was called all sorts of things. Today they write books about him. That's just what human beings do. If we don't understand it, we'll ridicule it before we try and understand genius. It's just who we are. So I tell you my fear and you go, $80,000 for an hour? That ain't money, dude. That's R1 million. That's not money. Not in my world. The guys I'm competing with, Usain Bolt charges $1.5 million an hour. I speak at a conference with Usain Bolt. That's where I'm at. So that you're coming from where you're coming from, and you're thinking about earning 140 Rand an hour, then you go to my website and you check my fee and you go, why does he charge so much? That ain't my problem. Guys, you're going to have to learn how to not listen, especially to the voices that don't count.
Yes. Amen.
If it does, just don't listen. Just don't. You're a young. There was a young lady who we had this in Bloemfontein. Young lady, amazing young black lady, who sells hair, and she explained to me the whole hair business, and I had to apologize to her because I didn't get the hair business. I would mock. I was like, hey, with the hair and what. I didn't understand. There's actually a system and a business behind this thing. Do you understand? So I said to her, even if Vusi, as influential as he does, would mock you, don't reply. Because I don't have the frequency to understand what you are doing. You just don't have enough energy to worry about what everybody says. It's not possible, man. So that's your thing about how did I get you? I was just me the whole time. One last thing, and then I want to answer your second question quickly. You know, a fish in the fishbowl doesn't know that fish were not invented to swim in fishbowls. And it doesn't know until it meets a fish that lives in the ocean. So the fish in the fishbowl thinks then, therefore, that the world is a swirl every 5 seconds. Until it meets a fish from the ocean. And the fish from the ocean is telling him about the vastness of the ocean, about reefs, about continents, about million other species, many of which have never yet been discovered. Do you know what the fish in the fishbowl is going to say? You're lying. Do you understand? So you are the fish in the ocean. You're trying to debate a fish in the fishbowl. The level of ignorance is so deeply set that you would have to spend an iota of time and energy, eons of time, first decoupling the ignorance. And people who are ignorant don't want to be illuminated. That's where the Illuminati comes from. The Illuminati wasn't a cult of religious people. The Illuminati, by the way, if you don't know the history, the Illuminati were the first group of people who believed the earth was round and not flat. That's what it is. That's why they were the Illuminati, the illuminated ones. They didn't live in the system of ignorance. So the reason the Illuminati became a tiny little cult that you couldn't tell people you belonged to was because you know what happens when you know and people don't, and you tell them what you know? They'll kill you for it. People want their ignorance. They want things the way they are because it's certain. Now you tell me the world is round. Am I going to fall off if I walk on the other side? You have to be very, very careful once you know you're different, how you manage your difference with the world. You have to be very careful where you apply yourself, your time, your energy, your space, because you can spend 40% of your time trying to justify yourselves to people who are not interested in the facts anyway, or you can take that 40% of your time and put it into the thing that's going to make a difference and leave an impact. In the quantum of time, a moment is just a speck of salt. But time is specks of salt collectively. So you have to manage what you do with every single moment. Hey. Sorry. By the way, if there's anyone whose debit order has bounced, I'm sorry. I mean, I was just saying, right? So that was, and then your second question was around, so you start small, how do you know that? No, there's no how do you start small. There is start small. Everybody starts small. That's the natural. The thing is, I always say to entrepreneurs, you got to try it's three things, right? So you got to start small, think big, scale fast. And it's not just scale, but you have to scale fast. You have to move really, really quickly. My team is here. They'll tell you if there's one fight we're having all the time, where are they, guys? They'll tell you. I go, why is it taking so long? I'm the kind of guy, if I tell you to do something on Monday, Tuesday, I expect it done. I don't expect you to tell me I'm going to. It must be done, right? So, because I know we're smaller than the people we compete with, that means we don't have enough more money than they do. So I can't beat them with money. I can beat them with speed. I can do the thing they are thinking about doing faster than they do it. If somebody works in a large corporate, they come up with an idea. They first have present it, then they must do a presentation, then it must be given to the board, then there's a limitation of authority about who can sign it. That process is 6 months. You're an entrepreneur. You think about it on Sunday, Monday you're doing it, Tuesday you're seeing if it's working, Friday you're making a decision to continue or not. That's it. So you just got to get into the cycle. Scale really fast. Like if you're not scaling fast, you're going backwards. Scale really, really fast, guys. To each and every single entrepreneur that comes to these masterclasses, that trusts us with their story, their opportunity, their struggles, we really appreciate it. We'll hope that you guys are learning about your business and about yourself as much as we're learning too. Cheers.